The most brilliant political mind of the Renaissance discovered something that would horrify modern intellectuals. Idiots succeed more than geniuses. Niccolò Machiavelli, after years of observing power in Florence's cutthroat political landscape, reached a devastating conclusion about human nature. Intelligence, he realized, was often a liability in the pursuit of success. While geniuses waste time perfecting their ideas, idiots act decisively. While brilliant minds see every angle of a problem, simple minds see only the path to victory. Machiavelli watched as crude, unsophisticated men rose to power, while the most educated, refined thinkers fell into obscurity or met violent ends. The Florentine's observations weren't limited to politics. He identified universal principles about why society systematically rewards mediocrity over brilliance. The genius thinks in complexity, speaks in nuance, and hesitates before acting. The idiot thinks simply, speaks clearly, and acts without doubt. Guess which one the masses follow. These insights explain why your most intelligent colleagues get passed over for promotion while incompetent managers rise through the ranks. Why political candidates who speak at a fourth-grade level defeat those with doctoral degrees. Why social media influencers, with nothing profound to say, accumulate millions of followers while genuine experts remain unknown. Each section reveals the specific mechanisms behind this pattern, ending with practical methods for leveraging strategic simplicity without sacrificing your intellectual integrity. The Florentines' scandalous discovery about human nature. In 1513, banished from Florence and tortured by his political enemies, Machiavelli began writing what would become the most shocking analysis of power ever penned. The Prince wasn't just about politics, it was an autopsy of human nature itself. What he discovered in those pages would make intellectuals uncomfortable for centuries. Machiavelli had witnessed the rise and fall of countless leaders. He saw brilliant strategists like Piero Soderini overthrown by crude opportunists. He watched sophisticated diplomats outmaneuvered by thugs who barely understood the concept of statecraft. The pattern was undeniable. Intelligence was not correlating with success. In chapter 18 of The Prince, he wrote that a successful ruler must be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves. But he added something more disturbing. The prince must also know how not to be good and how to enter into evil when necessity commands. Intelligence, with its moral complexities and ethical hesitations, actually hindered this flexibility. Machiavelli observed that intelligent people suffer from what we might call the complexity curse. They see too many variables, understand too many consequences, and recognize too many moral implications. While they're calculating the optimal solution, the idiot has already acted and claimed victory. Consider Cesare Borgia, one of Machiavelli's most fascinating case studies. Borgia wasn't a brilliant tactician or profound thinker. He was ruthless, direct, and unencumbered by intellectual sophistication. While his enemies debated ethics and strategy, Borgia simply eliminated them. Machiavelli wrote admiringly of Borgia's great spirit and high intentions, but what he really admired was the man's magnificent simplicity. The Florentine identified a crucial psychological truth. People don't want leaders who are smarter than them. They want leaders who make them feel understood. Intellectual superiority creates resentment and distance. Apparent simplicity creates connection and trust. Machiavelli's most scandalous insight was that virtue and success operate in different realms. Traditional virtue, wisdom, temperance, justice, might make someone a good person, but often makes them a failed leader. What he called virtù was different. the ability to adapt to circumstances, to be both fox and lion as situations demanded. When you find yourself overanalyzing while others are advancing, remember that Machiavelli saw this pattern 500 years ago. Sometimes, the most intelligent response is to act with deliberate simplicity, communicating your ideas in ways that create connection rather than demonstrate superiority. Why society punishes its brightest minds. Machiavelli understood something about human psychology that modern research has confirmed. People punish those who make them feel inferior. The genius, by existing, constantly reminds others of their intellectual limitations. Society responds by finding ways to marginalize, diminish, or destroy these reminders of their own inadequacy. In Discourses on Livy, Machiavelli wrote about the fate of exceptional individuals in republics. He observed that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. People respond to appearances and impressions, not to actual competence or wisdom. The brilliant advisor who speaks in complex terms loses to the simple-minded counselor who offers easy answers. The psychological mechanism is envy disguised as moral judgment. Society doesn't admit to resenting intelligence. Instead, it finds other reasons to reject smart people. They're called arrogant, out of touch, impractical, or elitist. These accusations often stick because intelligence naturally creates distance between people. Machiavelli witnessed this pattern repeatedly in Florence. The city's most capable administrators were often exiled or executed not for incompetence, but for being too competent. Their very excellence became a political liability. Citizens preferred leaders who reflected their own limitations rather than challenged them to rise above them. Modern corporations exhibit the same behavior. The employee who consistently proposes innovative solutions becomes a threat to colleagues who prefer maintaining the status quo. Rather than celebrating exceptional performance, organizations often find ways to neutralize high achievers who make others look inadequate by comparison. Universities, supposedly temples of learning, demonstrate this pattern most clearly. Academic politics are notoriously vicious precisely because the stakes are so low. Brilliant researchers are often sabotaged by mediocre colleagues who can't compete intellectually but can manipulate institutional politics. Social media has weaponized this dynamic. Platforms reward content that makes people feel smart without actually being challenging. Complex analysis gets buried while oversimplified takes go viral. The algorithm doesn't favor truth or insight, it favors engagement, which comes from content that flatters rather than educates. Political systems reveal the same preference for comfortable mediocrity over uncomfortable brilliance. Voters consistently choose candidates who reflect their own intellectual level rather than those who might elevate the discourse. A politician who speaks like a professor loses to one who speaks like a neighbor. Machiavelli's solution was counterintuitive. Hide your intelligence when it threatens others, but deploy it strategically when it serves your goals. The wise person learns to code switch between complexity and simplicity depending on the audience and situation. Understanding this dynamic protects you from the naive belief that merit alone determines success. In most human systems, the ability to make others feel comfortable with themselves matters more than the ability to see clearly or think deeply. Mastering the art of strategic stupidity. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson wasn't that intelligence is worthless, but that the intelligent person must learn when and how to appear stupid. He called this sprezzatura, the art of making difficult things look easy, of hiding your sophistication beneath a veneer of natural simplicity. The master of strategic stupidity uses intelligence to appear unintelligent when it serves their purposes. They simplify complex ideas not because they can't handle complexity, but because they understand their audience can't. They choose decisiveness over deliberation not because they haven't considered the alternatives, but because they've considered them quickly and privately. Study the most successful people in any field, and you'll find masters of this art. They communicate profound insights in elementary language. They make brilliant strategies look like common sense. They solve complex problems with solutions that seem obvious in retrospect. The key is maintaining intellectual integrity while adapting intellectual expression. Keep thinking deeply, but learn to speak simply. Continue analyzing complexity, but present simple conclusions. Preserve your capacity for nuanced understanding while developing your ability to act decisively. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. The intelligent person who masters this principle can have the best of both worlds: the private satisfaction of deep understanding and the public rewards that come from strategic simplicity. Practice translating your most sophisticated thoughts into language a 12-year-old could understand. Learn to make definitive statements about uncertain situations. Develop comfort with being underestimated, knowing that low expectations create opportunities for impressive results. Most importantly, remember that strategic stupidity is a tool, not an identity. Use it when it serves your goals, but never let it replace your actual thinking. The goal isn't to become actually stupid, but to wield apparent stupidity as skillfully as Machiavelli wielded his pen, with devastating precision and perfect timing. In a world that rewards simplicity over sophistication, the truly intelligent person learns to be strategically simple while remaining privately complex. Master this paradox, and you master the game that Machiavelli first mapped 5 centuries ago.